WNBA free agency is officially underway, Annie. So when you see these names and the options that the Sky have, what do you think that they're cooking up?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because Angel and Camilla are very interesting pieces. And when you're talking about, getting the right players in here, there is intrigue when you have young core pieces like that, because you could be part of developing them and developing towards a title contending season. But the reality is the Sky are still very far from that.
Angel Reese boldly declared on her podcast that she was building a powerhouse in Chicago. That confidence sparked headlines. But now, just weeks after the dust of free agency has settled, the story has completely flipped. Despite Reese's ambitions, the Sky's roster is still looking painfully thin. Big-name free agents explored their options and made it clear Chicago wasn't even close to the top of their list.
You don't get told no. Like, you're going to get the yeses. You're going to get more yeses than nos, and just being able to know that. So I'm excited for that. I know that's going to come soon.
Not a single all-star has joined forces with Reese. While rival teams loaded up with elite talent and fortified their championship dreams, Chicago was left on the outside looking in. Reese was expected to turn her presence and personality into recruiting power, especially after her aggressive networking at Unrivaled. But instead of landing stars, she's facing a sobering dose of reality. Could this be the strongest evidence yet that WNBA veterans just aren't sold on Reese's vision?
The whole city is obsessed with you.
I know. I love it
all
here.
the time.
I feel like Baltimore here. I love it here. It is.
Kind of. A little bit. A little DMV action.
Yeah.
But Chicago's a #3 market in the country.
Really?
It's New York, LA, and then Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago, y'all have everything. I'm not gonna lie, y'all have everything here. Like, it's nothing here that I'm like, oh, I gotta go to a different city for it. Like, everything has been here, which I love.
Reese talked a big game about building a super team and making Chicago a destination. But as the free agency window closes, the Sky are left with a roster filled with uncertainty. Imagine Angel Reese scrolling through her contacts, firing off texts, sliding into DMs, only to be met with unread messages or gentle rejections. The excitement she tried to generate simply didn't materialize into commitments.
Like Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso, too, have brought relevance to this team that they've desperately needed in a time when, again, if not for them, they'd be completely irrelevant because of the product that they're putting on the floor.
And also make Chicago an attractive spot when you have Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso right there, two bigs that really shined in their rookie season.
With so many top-tier talents available, you'd expect Chicago to snag someone. But the silence was deafening. No marquee names, no surprise signings, no real buzz, just Reese, watching as one big name after another chose different destinations. And now, she's left wondering what exactly went wrong in her recruitment push.
So, lads, this is not great news, for the Chicago Sky, who are a team that obviously, look, they're rebuilding. This is a team that is 100% rebuilding. The problem is they don't own their pick. So if the Chicago Sky run it back, they're probably not making the playoffs next year. Look, I think there's going to be an improvement from Angel Reese. I think it's going to be an improvement from Cardoso. But that team with no Kennedy Carter, it's going to be real tough to get any offensive power.
Let's break down the talent that was on the table. Kelsey Plum, Jewel Lloyd, Brittany Griner, Alyssa Thomas, Dewana Bonner, Natasha Howard, Satu Sabali, and Kelsey Mitchell. These are franchise-changing names. And how many gave the Sky serious consideration? Not a single one. Maybe Reese had a backup plan. Maybe she thought her influence alone could sway the stars. But now that the market has dried up, one fact is painfully clear. Chicago was never really in the conversation. Reese didn't just miss. Her entire recruiting campaign collapsed.
So, not a good day for the Chicago Sky. Not a good day at all, because we have heard news from the journalist who reports on the WNBA, and because she is not a homer like a lot of the other people, Like, normally journalists are complete homers for one team. One of the actual credible journalists reported on something. Sky fans aren't happy. They all want her fired.
If Angel Reese felt abandoned during free agency, it's because she was. The Chicago Sky's front office gave her zero backup. Not only did they fail to sign new stars, they didn't even keep their best ones. Kennedy Carter, the team's leading scorer, wasn't extended a qualifying offer. That move sent a message loud and clear. The Sky aren't serious about building. And those whispered trade talks? They fizzled out before they ever got started. Reese may have pitched a dream team, but the reality? It scared free agents off.
Kennedy had an incredible season for us last year, says the GM. She's extremely talented and is a player that can impact the game at the highest level in our league. We absolutely appreciate all she did for our team last year. However, we've made changes to our staff and we'll make changes to our roster. Those changes impact Kennedy's fit on the team, so we wanted to give her the best opportunity as a free agent.
Now the spotlight's on Reese, and not in the way she hoped. The so-called magnet for superstar talent is looking more like a solo act. Instead of leading a stacked squad, she's staring down a season alongside rookies, role players, and question marks. This isn't the blueprint for a dynasty. It's a wake-up call. So how did things spiral so fast? Why did every elite name in the league avoid Chicago like a bad investment? Let's peel back the curtain.
Is Angel Reese, did she just run a coach out of town, and is she running a player out of town? Their best shooter out of town? Because Kennedy Carter looks like she's ready to book it out of Chicago.
While Reese talked up Chicago as the WNBA's next super team, the league's real stars were making moves, big moves, and none of them pointed toward the Windy City. One after another, top-tier talent aligned themselves with franchises that offered what Chicago couldn't: structure, vision, stability, and a legit shot at a title. Reese may have been selling the dream, but the game's biggest names were already signing elsewhere. Places with real plans in motion.
The Seattle Storm are sending Jewel Lloyd to the Las Vegas Aces in a blockbuster three-team trade that moves Kelsey Plum to the LA Sparks. That's according to ESPN. As part of the deal, Seattle receives the second pick in this year's WNBA draft from LA in exchange for the Storm's number 9 pick, while the Aces also receive the 13th pick, a second-round selection from the Sparks.
Start with Kelsey Plum, the sharpshooter who helped Vegas win back-to-back championships. She's headed to Los Angeles, bolstering a Sparks team that already had momentum. Why not Chicago? Simple. The Sparks have coaching, direction, and zero chaos. And then there's Jewel Lloyd, the scoring machine who grew up in Chicago. She had a golden chance to come home, to build with Reese, to be the face of a hometown revival. Instead, she signed with Las Vegas to team up with Aja Wilson. That's not just a miss, that's a message. Lloyd wants rings, not rebuilding headaches.
According to WNBA Insider, that Illinois native Jewel Lloyd will not be going to Chicago Sky. And obviously they didn't keep Kennedy Carter. And it's looking like one player, obviously, that's been in Chicago across her careers because of her Illinois roots, is Seattle Storm guard Jewel Lloyd.
Brittney Griner, she's taking her dominant post game to Atlanta, strengthening a young dream squad already stacked with promise. And Alyssa Thomas, arguably the most complete player in the league, is on her way to Phoenix, ready to lead a reloaded Mercury team. See the pattern? None of these stars even paused to consider Chicago. They ran toward stability and away from dysfunction. Winning cultures attracted winners. And for now, the Sky aren't one of them.
Let's talk about the 3 big names you gotta know: Alyssa Thomas, Natasha Cloud, Brittney Griner. Let's start with Brittney Griner, joining Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard in Atlanta. Dream team? Brittney Griner was drafted to Phoenix in 2013, so it's kind of about time, and I'm so excited to see what Atlanta turns around this next season, because they really need her. Phoenix is also losing Natasha Cloud and Beck Allen, along with the number 12 pick overall in this year's draft to Connecticut. Connecticut is giving up the triple-double queen, Alyssa Thomas, and Ty Harris.
If Angel Reese thought things couldn't get any worse, Phoenix just proved her wrong. Not only did Alyssa Thomas join the Mercury, but she's now teaming up with Satu Sabali, creating a front-court duo that instantly turns Phoenix into a serious playoff threat. But the real gut punch came from Indiana. While Reese was pitching dreams, the Fever were making moves, real ones. In one jaw-dropping offseason, they signed veterans like Natasha Howard, Dewana Bonner, Sydney Colson, and Sophie Cunningham. And just to twist the knife deeper, they snatched up Brianna Turner, Reese's own teammate. Add in the re-signing of Kelsey Mitchell, and suddenly, Indiana looks like a team ready to compete for a title. Meanwhile, Chicago, still spinning its wheels.
The Indiana Fever are that golden destination, and I can't help but laugh to the fans and the people online and the media commentators, unfortunately, who said that nobody wanted to play in Indiana. That doesn't make any sense.
So what's the bottom line? Angel Reese made headlines, but the WNBA's top players tuned her out. Not only did they pass on joining her, they actively strengthened rival teams in the process. It's like they saw the red flags in Chicago and decided to run, not walk, the other direction. And here's the kicker. The same Reese who vowed to bring a super team to the Windy City is now left staring at empty lockers and unread messages. What was supposed to be a WNBA powerhouse is starting to resemble a glorified rec league squad.
Just trying to give myself some grace because I know I'm not the player that I want to be just yet, but also kind of patting myself on the back, telling myself that I'm still doing great.
But let's talk about the elephant in the room, Chicago's infrastructure. While other franchises are leveling up with state-of-the-art facilities, the Sky are still training in what some players describe as a glorified high school gym. The Fever, Aces, and Liberty are grinding in elite environments. Chicago? They're waiting on a new facility that won't even be ready until 2026. In a league that moves fast, 2 years is a lifetime. And the Sky are falling behind by the day.
Every woman should be able to step in and be able to go into a locker room and be able to have a safe space or go into a gym at 3 o'clock in the morning when they want to do that. So I want to be able to just invest.
Now, let's take a hard look at results. Remember when Chicago was a playoff threat? That feels like a distant memory. Last season, they stumbled to a 13-27 finish, their worst performance since 2020. This, after bringing in Angel Reese, who was hyped as the franchise savior. But hype doesn't win games. The season ended in disappointment, and the idea of Reese single-handedly turning things around, that illusion is fading fast.
So it's just been great being able to see my impact on and off the court, and not just in sports, but just being able to be a cultural impact as well has just been great.
And if you think the front office is a mess, wait until you hear about the locker room. Behind the scenes, sources describe a vibe straight out of a reality show. Chaotic, tense, and drama-filled. And guess who's in the eye of the storm? Angel Reese. Instead of attracting top-tier talent, she's reportedly repelling it. Gabby Williams, one of her top targets, took one look and said, "Thanks, but no thanks." Even Chennedy Carter, no stranger to controversy herself, had harsh words for Reese before cutting ties and walking away. It's not just about failed recruitment anymore. It's about whether Angel Reese is becoming the problem, not the solution.
According to league sources, Weatherspoon had lost the locker room because of a culture that catered to the needs of a few players. Dear Lord.
Let's be real. Angel Reese's so-called star power isn't lighting up the league. It's like showing up to a blackout with a candle. It might flicker, but it's not enough to power a movement. WNBA analyst Annie Costabile summed it up perfectly. If not for Reese and Camila Cardoso, this team would be completely irrelevant. That's not exactly a glowing endorsement. Reese may have brought attention, but she hasn't changed the product on the court. Chicago was struggling before she arrived, and guess what? They're still struggling. The franchise needed a true game changer, and so far, Reese hasn't proven she's the one.
And I can't help but wonder, is that what happened here? Is Angel Reese and the way she wants to play, and I don't know if you've ever noticed her social media post, but she's very me, always. I, me. Well, you may have a player that has decided that she's had enough of that.
And now, with free agency officially in the rear view, Angel Reese is staring down the most make-or-break season of her life. Remember that bold claim? I'm building a super team in Chicago. Well, that super team never showed up.
Throughout the year, WNBA players were demanding to be given credit for elevating the league. Angel Reese claimed that she was along with their pretend friends in the mainstream media. They wanted us to believe that the WNBA was exploding in popularity. They wanted to keep all the credit for themselves while downplaying the impact of the only star in the league, Caitlin Clark.
The All-Stars said no. The big names walked away. And now, she's alone. It's time to prove she's more than just headlines and highlight reels. Because if she can't carry this team, she might just fade into the background. But this isn't just about Angel Reese. It's a bigger issue across the WNBA. One name can't fix a broken franchise. You need smart leadership, elite facilities, and a culture that breathes winning. And right now, Chicago has none of that. With the season tipping off, all eyes are locked on the sky. Will Reese rise? Or will her legacy collapse right alongside? Her recruiting dreams? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss an update. And if you're ready for more drama from the WNBA Spotlight, click the next video on your screen. We'll see you there.